All right, we've been getting some questions on tolls when it comes to Uber and Lyft. So let's talk about that right now. Hey everyone, my name is Chris and welcome to the RideShare Guy. All right, let's go over an FAQ of tolls, some of the questions that we've seen people asking. We're gonna go over those and then some of the best practices when it comes to having to deal with tolls, driving through tolls, when to not accept orders or rides because of tolls. So we're gonna go over that all right now. So first off, who pays the tolls? Well, technically you, the driver, pay the toll. So as you're going through the toll, whether that's a cash toll, whether it's a cashless toll, whether you have an e-pass or anything like that, the driver will pay the toll. As you go through the toll though, you will be reimbursed for when the ride ends. So the passenger will pay the toll on the fare and you'll be reimbursed. But at the time of the toll itself, you, the driver, are going to pay the toll and then it will be reimbursed by the rider. Then some people might ask, well, when do you get reimbursed for the toll payment? And that is, well, immediately after the trip ends. Once the fare is calculated and you see how much you made for that fare, you're going to see the toll being reimbursed right there. Then going on, some people have said, well, they haven't paid the full price of the toll. Do I actually get reimbursed for the full toll or not? And the answer is, well, it sort of depends. There's two different ways to look at it. One, if you have a cash toll that has no discount, you're going to be reimbursed the entire 100%. So if it's a $1 toll, you will get a $1 reimbursed. But this is where it might get a little confusing. And that is if there is a cash toll with a discounted rate with, say, like an e-pass, whether that's a Sun Pass, Easy Pass, whatever type of electronic pass that you might have to get through tolls and pay them right there on the spot, they might have a discounted rate. So let's say that same $1 toll has a discounted rate of 90 cents. You're going to get reimbursed that e-pass discounted rate, which means you're going to be reimbursed that 90 cents. So this is where one of the best practices is to get the pass that's available in your area. The other thing with that being said is you want to know what the discounted rate for a toll is and also the cash value toll when it comes down to it. Because if there is any discrepancy when it comes to how much you got reimbursed, you want to make sure that you let Uber or Lyft know immediately saying, hey, look, I didn't get my full reimbursement. This is actually the rate that I'm supposed to get. You may have to submit some sort of documentation, but you can always kind of challenge the price. And I recommend going through the app to do that just because it's going to be easier. Now, another question we get is, do you get reimbursed for a toll when you're on the way to pick up a passenger? And the answer is no. You do not get reimbursed if you have to travel to pick up a passenger and you are going on a toll road. So a best practice here is to try to avoid actually going on a toll road to pick up a passenger. In the event that you can take an alternate route and get there in, approximately the same amount of time, or even maybe a couple minutes later or something like that, it's always better to take the route that's not the toll, because why would you want to spend more money going to pick up a rider than the gas that you already have to spend to pick that rider up? So you don't want to do that. You want to avoid toll roads when you are going to pick up a passenger. And then the other thing is, if you can't take an alternate route to try to pick up that passenger, it's probably best not to accept the ride or cancel it so you don't have to pay that toll to go pick up the rider. Now, the exception to that is if you think it's actually going to be worth it to take. So in the areas you have upfront earnings, well, you might be able to say, hey, this is actually going to be worth it for me to take. And then, hey, well, at that point, if you want to go on that toll road to go pick up the passenger, by all means, that's going to be up to you. But it is going to be your decision no matter what. Since we're on the subject of tolls when it comes to Uber and Lyft, what about Uber Eats? Will you get reimbursed for deliveries? And the answer is yes. It's going to be pretty much the exact same way when it comes to being reimbursed for a toll on a delivery as it is with rideshare. Then the next thing that we've had questions on is, will you get reimbursed for express lanes or optional toll roads? And the answer is no, you're not going to get reimbursed for that. So especially when it comes to express lanes or express HOV lanes where you have to spend money in order to get into that lane. And depending on how far you travel is how much you're going to have to spend. So do not let a rider try to coerce you into the express lanes, because it's going to come out of your pocket and they're not going to reimburse you for that. Those are optional. Now, if it's built into the trip, if it's a toll that you have to take and you pass through it, then at that point, that's when you will get reimbursed, but not for the express lanes, the express HOVs, or those optional tolls. Another question too is, will you get return tolls after dropping off a passenger for the return trip? And the answer is, well, for the most part, no, but it is going to depend on certain localities. Now, Lyft does a much better job in the back end. This is where you can check it in the app. You got to go in the help section, dig through a couple of things to find the toll section, but they will give you what is going to be reimbursed on return trips or anything like that. If you have any other questions when it comes to tolls, toll reimbursement, anything like that, on a general sense, don't ask about a specific bridge or specific toll, because we just don't have that information. But if you have a question on a general sense when it comes to tolls, drop a comment below and we will answer that. Now let's move to best practices when it comes to dealing with tolls. Now, the first thing I recommend, get one of these e-toll passes, whether that's Easy Pass, whether that's Sun Pass, whatever's available in your area. Make sure you pick up one of these e-toll passes. It's going to cut out if you have to pay cash for these tolls, whether it's exact cash, whether it's cash just in general, and then you have to wait for change. It just cuts all that out, makes it so much simpler, so much easier. Then many tolls are actually going cashless. So you might have to pay by mail, pay by phone, whatever it might be. But if you're going through tolls quite a bit, you might forget what tolls you may have gone through and therefore forget to pay, and you get a ticket and you might lose your license or some crazy thing like that if you didn't realize, and it's just a hassle. So it's so much easier just getting an e-pass and slapping that on your car, and then you pay at the toll as you go through it, and it's completely frictionless and cashless, just like Uber and Lyft is supposed to be. Another thing and benefit why you should get an e-pass or an e-toll pass for your area is a lot of the times tolls have some sort of discounted rate versus their cash rate. So when you have an e-pass, you're going to get the discounted rate, and that is the rate that you're going to get reimbursed. And then another thing why an e-pass is good is usually they have some sort of express lanes where you can just go right through the toll and you don't have to stop, you don't have to pay, you don't have to wait in line. And that means when your wheels are turning, you're making money. But if you're sitting there in line, you're not making anything. Another good practice is if the toll road is not that much faster than an alternate route, you can ask your passenger, hey, do you want to take the toll road or do you want to take the alternate route with no tolls on it? That is one thing that I can recommend too, because it's going to help save them money. They might be happier. And then, hey, you know what? That could turn around and turn into a tip for you. It's happened to me a couple of times. A definite best practice is do not take toll roads to pick up a rider, because you are not going to get reimbursed for that. They only reimburse you for when a rider or a delivery is actually in your car. So again, if you are on the way to go pick somebody up, best thing to do, avoid that or take an alternate route so you do not have to actually pay that toll and not get reimbursed for it later. And lastly, do not take those optional toll roads, those express lanes, those express HOVs, because you will not get reimbursed for it either. Don't let your passenger try to coerce you, because some of those express lane tolls can add up quite a bit depending on the length of the trip and where you're going. So don't let them coerce you. So again, if you have any questions when it comes to tolls, when it comes to toll roads, getting reimbursed, anything like that, put your comments below, let us know, and we'll get back to you on that. Again, on a general sense, because when it comes to individual toll roads, bridges, anything like that, again, we just don't have that information. Now, if you like this, make sure you smash that like button. Also, subscribe and ring the bell for notifications so you'll be notified when new videos come out. Speaking of tips, check out this video right here on tips to get more tips. All right, drive safe, everyone.